everybody, Jason F. Smith here with my very first review. Now, I have reviewed so many things in my life. I have done so many things. I have just talked about stuff all the time on podcasts, but I've never reviewed games, and yet I'm a huge gamer, right? So I started off as a nerd, but I ended up getting into fitness and became very much of a sports jock. So this is kind of like a jock nerd channel. How about that? So the first game we're going to knock out of the park right here is a game called Time Stories. So a lot of people have given reviews on this. A lot of people have gotten their take on it. And I'm just going to add to the story. Why I did that was because yesterday or 2 days ago, we did one of the mini expansions from the game that come after it. There's a little set of expansions that follow the game. You have to buy those as well. And what happened was we really enjoyed it, and I thought I should do a review of that, but I can't do a review of that until I do a review of this. So I'm going to add my voice, as if it's really necessary, to the stories of how great this game is. It's a very different board game. And in fact, the first thing you need to know about it is if you buy it, and I think you can get it somewhere between 50, 60 bucks in that area on Amazon. If you buy it, it's a one-time play. Now, a lot of people stop thinking about it right there, because why would play a board game if you grew up with the Monopoly or Life thing in your head where you just play board games as long as you want and those only cost 20 bucks? Why would you ever play this? Well, it's about the quality of the experience. It's about the quality of the experience. This game took me and it's from 1 to 4 players. It's really a 4-player game. You want to play it with 4 people. I think we played it with 6, so we kind of doubled up. Took us about 12 hours to do. So it was a total 12 hours. We did it over one weekend. So it was a Saturday, it was a Sunday. And for 50 bucks, it was well worth it. Well worth it. It was an immersive game experience. So what it is this. You play one of these 4 characters who are like heroes in a movie, but you got to go back in time. And so the theme is time. You go back in time to fix a temporal anomaly. That means someone's messing with time that's going to change your world. So you got to go back and fix it. And so they're types of adventure games, so to speak, where you're like I'm trying to think of Mission Impossible a little bit. Like you're these characters who have to go back on these missions and do these fantastic things. You also have some limitations within that, in that the only way to go back in time is to jump into people and take them over for a short period of time. So part of the fun of the game is that you get to go back and inhabit, so you get to go back and inhabit some other person, and they have characteristics and they're set in the world, and so you have to go and jump into them, and then you play and you walk around that world as that person, and then you try to solve the problem. Usually from our current time, we notice the temporal anomaly, so we notice something's fucked up, right? And by the way, on my channel I will be swearing, so it is not a kid-friendly channel. Not kid-friendly channel, at least not young kids today's day and age, right? So you go back and you've got this puzzle to solve because you know something's wrong, right? But you don't know what, and it's almost always that way. Something's wrong, you got something's off with the time, you got to go back, you investigate, you inhabit some people, and you go around in the space, and the game has a mechanism where you can search the area as this character, and you ask questions, you interact, and you solve puzzles, and you get information, and you make decisions. So it's like being in a movie. You're going around trying to figure out what's going on. Some baddies will try to fight you, and you try to piece the whole thing together, and you figure out kind of what's really going on. The bad guys are trying to break the time zone this way, and then you stop it, or you don't. So once you play through the opening scenario, it's done. You can't play it again because you know the solution. Now, the game usually centers around, in each setting in the forward, has created this kind of a mega puzzle that's really neat. I really enjoy the mega puzzle. Now, the mega puzzle that they created for Time Stories, the boxed edition, the one that starts at the one we're looking at right here, is by far the most popular and the most famous puzzle. Like, so many people play this game because of that puzzle. That's what got them in. Now, I'm one of the few people who I barely survived this game because of that puzzle. I think the puzzle's broken. I think it's wrong. I hate the puzzle on every level. Now, I can't tell you why. I literally can't tell you why, but I wanted to show you that there's two different ways of looking at it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Despite me hating that puzzle that so many people love, they fucking love it, right? I have a very specific reason for hating it, because it breaks some rules, and I don't believe in breaking those rules in a game. Because of that, I still loved the game. I still love it. It was so immersive. It was so fun. I've never played a game as cooperative as it. So cooperative games, if you don't know, like Monopoly is not a cooperative game. I'm there to build a city and drive you out of business, right? Okay, that's what that, like Risk, same thing. I'm there to beat your ass and take the world over, right? Those are non-cooperative games. A cooperative game is we all work together to solve a problem. And so in this game, you play with your friends or family or whoever you're playing with, and to solve the puzzle. And some of those games don't feel too cooperative in the market, the way in the genre that they've created. I could talk about that in a different video, but right now I want to say this is one of the most cooperative. Like, in between turns, it goes in a sets of turns, and you'll take a break to have lunch and stuff. You'll be thinking about it, and you'll be talking to your friends like, well, what about this? And what could it be there? And you really have to come together. It really is a cooperative game. That's not to say someone could sit in the outside, play, and be a turd in the punch bowl, just not contribute anything. But amongst a group of highly intelligent, competitive people, it's nerd or jock is not going to matter. You're going to get into this game and go, hey, what the hell is going on? I think it's this, or I think it's that. And this is one of those games where it really, as far as I can tell, being a nerd and metagaming and having played a lot of games isn't really going to help you. Like, it isn't that kind of game. It's a game that anyone could come to fresh if they were serious. And by serious, I mean, this is a 12-hour fucking investment of your time. Right? $50 is nothing compared to that, right? You got to sit down and pay attention. And in between the runs, you're going to have to rethink your strategy and do it again this way, in a way that succeeds where the last one totally failed. And you try different things out and you start to piece things together. So I really love the game. It was totally immersive. Totally immersive. Like, we couldn't stop thinking about it. We played it Saturday and we played it again Sunday to finish it. Saturday night, I was dreaming about this goddamn game. Dreaming about it. So then the next day, it was like I had all these ideas. Everyone else who played came with the same ideas. They've been thinking about them too. So it was really a really fantastic game. Let me say something. If you're going to play this game, it's not 100% necessary. It's almost necessary to play it all the way through. And you can't take like a week break because you're going to forget things. Having said that, I did break that rule for the third element of the game called Prophecy of Dragons, which is an add-on. You have to buy it. It's about $20. But I'll talk about that when I do that review. So to wrap it up, I just don't know that many games that gave me this kind of experience. It was so different from the sit down and roll dice and move a guy around and try to beat your ass or try to get more money than you. It was just such an immersive, cooperative game. And it was told in a story setting. So the atmosphere of the game I rate super high, like super high. In this one specific, the story I rate super high. It was a very interesting setting, like you were in it and it was immersive. The story was really interesting. The characters were interesting. Now, I will say this, the rule system, right? It's a little vague. And I started to get a sense each time I played it. And I looked it up and I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure these guys are French. So it's a French game, it's being translated into American, and in that there's this vagary and a lack of clarity sometimes that makes you, that can make you feel at ease. Like the game rules don't hold you quite as tight as I hoped they would. And I think it's a mistranslation issue, and it keeps doing it. Another thing that it does is that it dumps so much information on you in terms of all these stories and things that it's very hard to keep track of everything. So you're going to experience mental turbulence and go, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know what to do. And then you'll meet someone and they'll like, we met him before. You go, oh shit, I don't remember meeting him before. Because there's so much. So it's very immersive, and it's one of those games. I play a lot of games where people come over for an evening and we're cooking dinner and then we sit and have some fun. You're gonna be fucked if you play it that way. Like, you better just have your dinner ready and then sit and play. Don't have kids running in the living room calling mom, dad, because they're gonna drive you nuts. Because like, hey, shut up. I gotta focus on this game. It's that kind of game. Now, if you enjoy setting time aside and get with your friends and getting really cooperative and being focused in a highly, highly challenging way, you're gonna love this game. It's gonna test you. It's gonna challenge you. And it's really going to deliver at the end, unless you hate that puzzle. But even then, you're going to go, wow, I never played anything like that. For most of you reading this review, it's going to be, I never played anything like that. And so I think you're really going to enjoy it. So again, you have to be someone, you can set aside, if you've got a little worries about being a nerd, right? You're like, hey man, I'm a nerd. I'm, former Navy SEAL, or maybe I, a men's coach, or maybe I am, a former football player, or I get up every morning and do kettlebell workouts. You got any of those things going on, right? And you're like, I don't know about this. I guarantee you will be challenged by this game. And you might have to set aside a little bit if you've never watched a science fiction movie and you don't like that kind of thing. You don't like a time story thing. In Marvel Avengers, the new one that just came out, where the Infinity Stone, and they went back in time to fix everything Thanos had fucked up. If you're like, this is bullshit. I mean, maybe you're not into suspending your disbelief, but because in this game you have to suspend your disbelief that you're someone else in a certain time, in a certain place, and you got a problem and you got to solve it. And the game does a really good job of setting that up and giving you choices and consequences for that, and then testing your memory and your cognitive ability to solve problems. It's really, really fun. If you're a geek, you're going to love it. If you're not a geek, I still think you're going to love it. Okay, this is Jason F. Smith, and that is my review of Time Stories. Thanks for watching.